Spring break. The night we found the cabin, the woods had already gone quiet. Not the peaceful kind of quiet, the kind where every living thing has decided to stop moving. There were 4 of us. Me, my best friend Dana, her boyfriend Marcus, and his college friend Priya. We had been planning this trip for months. 7 days, no phone signal, no social media, no obligations. Just the mountains, the trees, a rented cabin, and whatever was left of spring before real life swallowed us whole. The drive up took longer than expected. By the time we turned onto the dirt road that led to the property, the sky had gone from orange to a deep, bruised purple. The GPS had stopped working about 20 minutes earlier. We were following a printed map the rental company had mailed us, which already felt like a bad sign. The cabin appeared through the trees like something out of a photograph you find in a dead person's belongings. Beautiful, but wrong somehow. It was bigger than the listing suggested. Dark wood, 2 stories, a wide porch that wrapped around the front. A single light burned in the upstairs window. We had been told it would be empty. Marcus said it was probably on a timer. Dana agreed because she wanted to agree. Priya didn't say anything. She was looking at the tree line instead of the cabin, and I noticed that, but I didn't say anything either. Inside, the cabin was warm and well-stocked. Wood already laid in the fireplace, wine in the kitchen, soft blankets folded on every chair. It felt prepared. Too prepared. Like someone had known exactly when we were arriving. We told ourselves the rental company was just thorough. We opened the wine. We laughed too loudly for a little while. That first night was fine. That first night, everything was fine. The second day, we hiked. The trail behind the cabin wound up into the mountain through thick pine forest. The air smelled like cold earth and something faintly sweet that none of us could identify. Dana said it was wildflowers. Priya said she didn't think anything was blooming yet. We walked for about 3 hours and didn't see another person, which was the point. On the way back, Marcus noticed a trail marker that had been turned around to face the wrong direction. He flipped it back. "Probably kids," he said. "Sure," we all said. That night, I woke up at 2:14 in the morning. I know the exact time because I looked at my watch the moment my eyes opened. I lay still and listened. Somewhere below me, in the living room, something was moving. Slow footsteps. Deliberate. The sound of someone who was not in a hurry. I told myself it was Marcus getting water, or Dana, who slept poorly. I lay there and counted to 60, and the footsteps stopped. I did not go downstairs to check. I closed my eyes and eventually, somehow, I slept. In the morning, I didn't mention it. I think I was already starting to decide what I wanted to believe. The third day, Priya found the photographs. They were inside a kitchen drawer, beneath a stack of takeout menus and a half-used book of matches. A rubber band held them together. Maybe 30 photographs, all printed on regular paper, the kind you run through a home printer. She set them on the table, and we looked at them without touching them for a moment. The way you look at something when some part of you already knows you shouldn't get closer. They were all of the same thing. The woods behind the cabin. The same stretch of tree line shot from the upstairs window, over and over again. Different times of day, different light. Some taken in full daylight, shadows sharp and short. Some at dusk, the trees blurring into each other. some clearly taken in the middle of the night, the flash turning everything flat and pale. In most of them, there was nothing unusual, just trees. But in some of them, if you looked at the space between the pines, at that specific band of shadow where the light stopped reaching, you could see something standing there. The same shape in photograph after photograph. Tall, thin, always in the same spot. What made it worse than anything else was the dates. Each photograph had a timestamp printed along the bottom edge. They spanned 3 years. 3 years of someone standing at that window, pointing a camera at the same patch of trees, documenting whatever it was they kept seeing out there. The last photograph in the stack was different. It wasn't of the woods. It was of the inside of the cabin. The living room, shot from the bottom of the stairs. The timestamp read 3:02 a.m. The room was dark except for the flash, and on the couch, visible only because of that sudden white light, were 2 people asleep under blankets. The couch where Dana and Marcus had napped that same afternoon. Priya wanted to leave. Priya said it plainly and calmly, the way she said everything. She said she had a bad feeling, and she had learned to trust bad feelings. Marcus said she was letting a stranger's photographs scare her. Dana said we had paid for 7 days, and it was only day 3. I didn't say anything because I was looking out the kitchen window at the tree line, and I thought I could see the shape of something standing just inside the shadow of the trees. Something tall, something still. I looked away. When I looked back, it was gone. We stayed. That afternoon, while Dana and Marcus napped, Priya and I sat on the porch. She asked me if I had heard anything the night before. I told her about the footsteps. She nodded like she had expected that answer. She told me she had heard them too on the first night. She had also seen something she hadn't mentioned to anyone. A light moving through the trees around midnight. Not a flashlight. She said it was more like a lamp, warm and yellowish, swinging slightly, like something carried by hand. We decided we would wake the others and leave in the morning, early, before it was fully light. At 1:30 in the morning, all 4 of us were already awake. No one had said anything, no alarm had gone off. We had simply all opened our eyes at the same moment, in our separate rooms, and known. I came downstairs to find Dana standing in the middle of the living room in her pajamas, completely still, staring at the front door. Marcus was at the window. Priya was already dressed and holding her bag. "There's someone on the porch," Dana whispered. I looked at the door. The handle was not moving. Whoever was out there was not trying to get in. They were just standing there. We could see the shadow beneath the door, the thin strip of darkness that told us something was blocking the porch light just outside. None of us spoke for a very long time. Then Marcus, who I had privately been underestimating this entire trip, walked to the fireplace and picked up the iron poker. He walked to the door. He counted to 3 under his breath. He opened it. The porch was empty, but there was something on the welcome mat. A small pile of items arranged in a careful, deliberate row. A hiking boot, child-sized, worn down to almost nothing. A rusted compass with the needle removed. A photograph, face down. And the rubber band that had held the stack of pictures together. The one Priya had found in the kitchen drawer. The one we had left sitting on the table. Marcus picked up the photograph and turned it over. None of us said anything. It was a picture of our car, taken from above, from somewhere in the trees, at an angle that suggested height. Our car parked exactly where we had left it 2 days ago, exactly where it still sat now in the driveway. In the photograph, all 4 doors were open. In reality, all 4 doors were closed. The timestamp printed on the edge of the photo was from that evening, 11:47 p.m. Someone had printed this photograph within the last 2 hours. We left. We left everything. I did not put on shoes. I got into the back seat of the car, still in my socks, and Dana drove, and no one spoke for 40 minutes until we hit the first patch of phone signal, and Priya called the rental company's emergency line and got a voicemail. We drove the rest of the way to the nearest town, a small place with a diner that was just opening for the morning. We sat in a booth as the sun came up, and we ordered coffee, and no one really drank it. The rental company called back at 9 a.m. I listened to Dana's side of the conversation. I watched her face change. She thanked them and hung up. She said the cabin had been taken off their listings 8 months ago, after a family rented it for spring break and reported finding someone living in the walls. A narrow crawl space running behind the upstairs bedrooms and down into the space beneath the floorboards. Big enough for a person. Outfitted, the property manager told police, with blankets, canned food, a battery-powered lamp. The person was never found. Why did they rent it to us? Marcus asked. Dana stared at her coffee. They said they didn't. They said the listing was inactive. They don't know how we booked it. We reported it to the local police that morning. They drove out to the property and called us 3 hours later. The cabin was empty. No signs of anyone. No footprints. Nothing on the porch. No photograph, no compass, no rubber band. They did find one thing. In the crawl space behind the upstairs bedrooms. 4 names written on the wall in black marker. Our names, spelled correctly. Written, the officer said, in what appeared to be fresh ink. I have thought about that trip every single day since. I have thought about the footsteps and the light in the trees and the photograph with the open doors. I have thought about those pictures in the kitchen drawer. 3 years of someone watching the same stretch of trees, waiting for something. I have thought about Priya, who trusted her instincts on day 3, and how she has never once said, "I told you so." But what I think about most, what I keep coming back to in the quiet hours when the room is dark and the house is still, is something the officer said almost as an afterthought before he hung up the phone. He said the names on the wall were written at different heights. 3 of them at normal eye level. But the 4th name, my name, had been written very low, almost at the floor, like whoever wrote it had been lying down. Dear viewer, if you enjoy stories that stay with you long after they end, make sure you subscribe. There's a lot more coming.